The most painful villain deaths in horror movies. Sometimes the most terrifying villains in horror movies get deaths so brutal that you almost feel sorry for them. Almost. Starting at number 10, we have Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Let's start with the King of Nightmares himself.
I'm crazy after all.
Now, Freddy's died multiple times throughout the franchise, but his death in Dream Warriors stands out because of the sheer psychological torture involved. Nancy's father and the other parents literally burned Freddy alive, again. But here's what makes it so painful. Freddy experiences every second of it. The flames consume him slowly, and you could see the realization in his eyes that his reign of terror is ending. The irony? He's dying the same way he originally died, but this time he knows it's coming. What makes this death particularly brutal is that Freddy, for all his evil, was once human. Watching him burn while screaming brings back that humanity for just a moment before he's consumed entirely. At number 9, we have Pinhead from Hellraiser 2. The Cenobite's leader's death in Hellbound is a masterclass in cosmic horror justice. Dr. Channard, now transformed into a Cenobite himself, literally tears Pinhead apart piece by piece. But it's not just physical destruction. It's the unmaking of everything Pinhead represents. The most painful part? Pinhead remembers his humanity right before he dies. Captain Elliot Spencer surfaces, and you see the horror in his eyes as he realizes what he's become. He's not just dying, he's being erased from existence while simultaneously remembering every terrible thing he's done. The way his flesh peels away like old wallpaper while he's still conscious is genuinely disturbing, even for a character we're supposed to hate. Coming in at number 8 is Chucky from Child's Play. Here's where things get really twisted. Chucky's death in the original Child's Play is painful on multiple levels. First, there's the physical agony. He's shot, stabbed, and dismembered while still alive and feeling everything. But the real pain comes from the psychological aspect. Chucky realizes that his plan to transfer his soul into Andy has failed completely. He's trapped in a doll's body forever, and that body is being systematically destroyed. The most brutal moment, when his head is nearly severed but he's still talking, still trying to complete his mission. It's like watching someone's worst nightmare play out in real time, being conscious while your body falls apart. At number 7, we have the Tall Man from Phantasm. The Tall Man's deaths throughout the Phantasm series are consistently brutal, but his final demise takes the cake. What makes it so painful isn't just the physical destruction, it's the revelation that he's been fighting a losing battle across multiple dimensions. When he's finally destroyed, you realize he's been trapped in an endless cycle of death and resurrection, never able to truly rest. The pain isn't just from dying, it's from the knowledge that he's been suffering this fate for eternity. The interdimensional aspect makes it worse because he experiences every death simultaneously across all realities. Imagine dying 1,000 different ways at the exact same moment. Number 6 brings us to Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Jason's death in Part 6 is particularly brutal because it strips away his supernatural invincibility. Tommy Jarvis chains him to the bottom of Crystal Lake, and for the first time, Jason experiences true helplessness. The most painful part? Jason is still conscious underwater, unable to die but also unable to escape. He's trapped in a state between life and death, aware of his situation but powerless to change it. It's psychological torture disguised as physical restraint. What makes this death stand out is that Jason, despite being a killer, was originally a victim himself. Watching him struggle underwater brings back memories of his original drowning as a child, the trauma that started it all. At number 5, we have Candyman from Candyman. Tony Todd's Candyman meets his end in a way that's both poetic and agonizing. He's burned alive by the very community he's terrorized. But here's the twist. He's not just dying, he's being forgotten. The real pain comes from the fact that Candyman exists because people believe in him and speak his name. As he burns, you can see him fading, not just physically, but existentially. He's experiencing the ultimate death, being erased from memory itself. The most brutal aspect? He genuinely loved Helen, and she's the only one who ultimately destroys him. It's not just physical death, it's heartbreak and betrayal happening simultaneously while he's being consumed by flames. Coming in at number 4 is the Xenomorph Queen from Aliens. Ripley's final confrontation with the Queen in Aliens results in one of the most satisfying yet brutal villain deaths in horror. The Queen is sucked out into the vacuum of space, but it's not a quick death. The most painful part is watching this perfect organism, a creature that represents the pinnacle of evolution, being destroyed by the very environment it can't adapt to. The Queen experiences every second of decompression, her body literally tearing itself apart in the vacuum. What makes it worse is that the Queen was just protecting her offspring, following her biological imperative. There's something genuinely tragic about watching a mother die while trying to save her children, even when that mother is a terrifying alien monster. At number 3, we have Michael Myers from Halloween 2, 1981. Michael's death in Halloween 2 is brutal because it strips away his supernatural mystique. Dr. Loomis and Laurie trap him in a hospital room and turn on the gas. Then Loomis ignites it with his lighter. The most agonizing part, Michael burns alive while Loomis watches, and for the first time we see him as vulnerable. The flames consume his mask first, revealing the human face underneath, scarred, damaged, but undeniably human. What makes this death particularly painful is the implication that Michael has been aware and suffering this entire time, trapped inside his own madness but unable to escape it. The fire doesn't just kill his body, it finally releases whatever humanity was left inside. Number 2 brings us to Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. While Leatherface doesn't technically die in the original film, his psychological breakdown at the end is more painful than any physical death could be. When Sally escapes, Leatherface is left alone, spinning in circles with his chainsaw, screaming in frustration and rage. The most brutal aspect is realizing that Leatherface is essentially a child in a man's body, manipulated and abused by his family. His death is the death of his innocence and the realization that he's truly alone in the world. Watching him dance frantically with his chainsaw as the sun rises is genuinely heartbreaking. He's not evil by choice. He's a victim of circumstance who became a monster, and now he's paying the ultimate price for crimes he barely understands. And finally, at number 1, we have Jigsaw from Saw 3. John Kramer's death in Saw 3 tops this list because it's the most psychologically complex villain death in horror history. He dies slowly from cancer while watching his final game play out. But the real pain comes from his realization that his work has been corrupted. The most agonizing part? Jigsaw genuinely believed he was helping people, giving them a chance to appreciate life. As he dies, he sees that his methods have only created more killers and more suffering. But his life's work, his twisted philosophy, dies with him. But here's what makes it truly brutal. Amanda, his protege, kills Lynn Denlin out of jealousy, violating everything Jigsaw taught her about giving people a fair chance. He dies knowing that his legacy is already corrupted, that everything he worked for was meaningless. The physical pain of cancer is nothing compared to the psychological agony of watching your life's work crumble before your eyes. What makes these deaths so impactful isn't just the gore of the special effects. It's the way they force us to confront our own sense of justice.